Aries people are active, energetic, excitable, impulsive, optimistic, open to change and new experiences, often suffer from anger, frustration, anxiety, and... Let's talk about the real Aries. Hello there and welcome to the Chironium. My name is Tyler Penor, and oftentimes when we first come across astrology, everything's very generalized. There's a very generalized perspective of astrology as a whole. And while there is a sliver of truth that kind of resonates there, the origins of astrology, the origins of the signs themselves, they go much deeper than our personality type. They come from and are created by the pattern of life. If you really want to learn astrology and understand the signs, look at the elements and they will teach you everything you could want to know about astrology and about the signs specifically. So Aries is the spark that ignites the fire. And then the next fire sign is Leo, and Leo is the flame itself. It's the light of the fire. And then Sagittarius is the heat that radiates from the fire and the charcoals and even embers that shoot up, and travel away from the fire. Now we can see this pattern of these signs reflected in the seasons. The equinox is what starts the sign of Aries. And there's a key foundational pattern to all of these cycles. If you think about it, every day we go through a mini version of the seasons. Sunrise is just like spring. Noon is like summer, sunset is like fall, and then midnight is like winter. So Aries is fire in the form of a spark. It's the ignition of the fire. Think of starting a fire without a lighter or a match. It takes, friction, it takes energy to get it going. You take the stick trying to get that spark to create a fire, or you take flint, and you're making sparks to try and get this fire to light. Try lighting a fire without a match or a lighter. You may go through some frustration. Once you get it started, that anger and that frustration transforms into exhilaration. You created a fire. And so that's the process of the sign of Aries. So with this kind of movement, it's the same with our cycle of the day. In the morning time, that's when everything gets going. We wake up and we start to go. And Aries even rules the head, and the eyes. And you can even see the Aries symbol right here. Thinking of that spark of Aries, we have that spark in our brains actually as well, with the synapses, that fire. Also, what's the first thing we do in the morning when we wake up? We open our eyes and that awareness floods in, and that's how we begin our day. So that's the basic teachings of the sign of Aries. There's a lot more I could go into, but for the sake of this YouTube video, I just want to give you guys something to start with. As we progress, it'll get more clear and more clear of this way to learn astrology and connect with it through nature, through the elements. And the goal is not to learn astrology just in the mind, just through books and studying it, but to actually bring it to life and feel it and learn it by heart. Learn how to recognize these patterns within your daily life, how life flows. And if we can learn anything about life and our place in it, that's just a good thing overall. The idea of this series that I'd like to start, to take my camera, put a roll of film in it, spend the day going out and trying to capture the essence of a sign and taking you guys along for the journey. So originally I thought maybe I'd call it Chiron's Quest, Zodiac Keys, sign hunting. I don't really know what to call it, but maybe you guys could help. After watching this video, give me some ideas down in the comments section what you think will come to a good name for this series. So for this Aries video, I was like, well, I need to go try and maybe capture the sunrise. And so I ended up looking on the forecast and it was like rain for the next 5 days. And so I was like, I guess I gotta wait until we get a sunny day. And right before I went to bed, I looked and it said, oh, it's gonna be clear in the morning. And so I told Mamie, hey, let's get up early and go down to the beach somewhere, or the lookout. And so we got up this morning at 5 a.m. and just got all the gear ready, got my cameras, and we're gonna go out and see if we can capture the sign of Aries. So I got all my camera gear ready and looked in my little fridge for some film, and I was like, what film do I want to use? And I'd bought this roll of slide film. And I've never shot slide film before, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to try shooting slide film for my first time. So the roll of film was a roll of retrochrome. I got all of that ready, I got my camera gear ready, and Mamie and I, we got in the car and we headed over to a lookout spot by the beach. And so once we got there, we found this little bench to sit at, and it had a nice view to the east of where the sunrise would be, and there was a lot of clouds in the sky, and I was kind of worried. I was like, well, maybe the sun won't really show itself. Right where the sun was supposed to rise, there was a little kind of opening of clouds, and so I was hoping the sun would come out just for that moment. I loaded up my roll of film in the camera, and I was trying to talk to the camera. Mamie was filming me, and as you see, my microphone wasn't on, so that's why I'm doing the voiceover here instead. And so sitting there hoping that the clouds would part, they didn't really fully part, but I did get a shot of the sunrise in that moment of the sunrise. And when I was shooting it, I kind of was realizing, oh yeah, it's the new moon in Aries. The sun and the moon were both in the sign of Aries. And catching the sunrise, also the sign of Aries was rising on the horizon. And the horizon line in astrology, that's what we call the ascendant or the rising sign. So technically at that moment where I took this photo that was trying to capture the sign of Aries, the sun, the moon, and the ascendant were all lined up with the sign of Aries. And it was very fitting that, I didn't really get the shot that I wanted. The sun didn't really fully come out, and maybe I was a little frustrated about it. I was really hoping to get a nice, beautiful sunrise shot, but that's what I got, and I took a couple more shots and just moved on with it. So after that, sitting and kind of saying, I don't think the sun's gonna fully peek through, we were like, oh, maybe we should go, and well, let's just sit and enjoy the sunrise moment. And at that moment, this eagle flew right over us and captured it on the video. And so we watched it, and it had these crows that were kind of messing with it, and we got some good footage of these crows here too. So it was just a beautiful morning, and then we headed home. Once we got home, we wanted to continue this day of Aries. Mamie is an herbalist, and she owns Chiron's Apothecary, and she had been wanting to go harvest some nettles. Now, nettles are a plant that very much holds that signature of the planet Mars and then the sign of Aries. Mamie got all of her things together, and we got in the car again, and we headed out to a trail where we knew some nettles were, and it ended up being a really huge, large patch of nettles, and they were kind of at the perfect time to harvest them. When you harvest nettles early as well, you harvest just the head of them, which made sense. Aries ruling the head. So we got there, and Mamie started harvesting, and I started walking around with my camera, getting some nice shots of Mamie and her harvesting the nettles and getting some shots of the nettles on this roll of slide film. And Mamie even had her camera as well, and she was taking some photos. This was her second roll of film she ever shot, and she actually got a really nice headshot of our dog, Sequoia. Again, fitting for the sign of Aries. So being an herbalist and working with plants, really astrology can be one of your greatest assets in working with plants, understanding people, diagnosing people. Medical astrology is a very real thing that you can work with, and it really can take your understanding and work with plants to a whole nother level. Plants, they move and they grow in these cycles of the seasons, and they express these different energetic qualities. So I told Mamie while we were out there, I had this idea of us sitting down together and talking about the sign of Aries and then nettles and how they correlate together. So we'll cut to that segment now. Alright, so we're here with the lovely Mamie Wartell. We are going to be doing a little segment within this video called Plants and Planets. We're going to be picking one plant to connect with each sign of the zodiac during its current season. To start off, I'm going to let Mamie introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Mamie. I am Tyler's partner, and I run Chiron's Apothecary. I also help him with the School of Living Astrology. And I'm an herbalist and a lymphatic nerd, and I really like all things women's health, basically anything related to plants.
So we went out and harvested nettles. We figured for this video that we would sit down together, have a little bit of a back and forth about nettles and how they're connected in the astrological side, the herbalist side, and the medicine side, and how they work together. So as we spoke of earlier in this video, Aries has a lot to do with beginnings, fire in the form of a spark. So we see that with the springtime season up here in the northern hemisphere, where the light comes back and starts to take over the darkness. It's the same with that time of day where we're at the transition from night into day. So within those qualities, we can look to the plant kingdom, and they also have these certain traits, the way that they're shaped, the way that they look, the medicine that they hold, all aspects of their being, just like us. So we'll have Mamie Mamie explain to us about nettles from more an herbalism standpoint.
So if you're not familiar with nettles, they are stingy little plants that grow all over the Pacific Northwest around this time of year. So they often come out in early March-ish, and they start really small and then they get bigger and bigger, and then by midsummer they're, up to your waist. And they have an incredible sting that they're known for, which is directly represented by the Martian quality and that relationship to Aries, and they just repel you if you don't already love them. Especially if you fall in a patch of nettles, no bueno. They're an amazing plant protein source in the forest, and they're full of vitamins and minerals. In herbalism, we call them nutritive tonics. It can be used as a food, amazing in scrambled eggs, makes a really good pesto.
He puts it in everything.
I do. He loves it.
Nettle soup,
yes.
nettle tea,
yes.
nettle eggs, nettle
burritos.
everything.
Basically anything for all of April has nettles. The reason for that is these plants like to come out during certain times of the year when they're needed the most. And so you'll start to see in the spring after winter, those lymphatic cleansing herbs start to come out, and then they help to cleanse the blood while also building you up. And so they're great for folks, like in my clinical practice, I like to use them with people who are, they're in need of like lymphatic and blood cleansing, but they're also weak and maybe a little bit frail and need some of that like earth and fire element in their body, and nutrition and strengthening and all those good things that nettles are known for.
Thinking too, it's like we just came out of winter where we've kind of been all hibernating and
lazy,
and so once Aries season comes, that spring moment hits, it's like time to get going, time to get out planting our crops or whatever it is that we're doing. But nature encourages us to do that, and then the plants.
And it's fun to see too that it's like when the sun, because up here the seasons are very seasonal. In the Pacific Northwest. Like spring actually starts on March 21st. Then the sun starts to come out, and then the nettles start coming out. And you'll notice in the forest where the nettles have more access to the sun, they kind of grow like on that borderline between shade and sun. And the ones who have more sun grow a lot faster, and they kind of inhabit that quality a little bit more, that fire, that spark.
So nettles, they grow where shadow meets the light.
It's kind of just what I've been noticing over the past couple years.
And that makes sense again, like we were talking about this time of years where kind of the dark and the light meet each other, and it's like a balance, and then the same with that sunrise.
Another thing about nettles, what I notice in a lot of medicinal plants is there's a type of paradox, especially plants like nettles who have this stingy, fiery quality to them, but yet to take them internally, they're actually kind of cooling to inflammation and to the fire inside the body. And so they're just kind of bringing things back into balance. Which is interesting because they're coming out during the equinox time.
So with the signs, there's actually not 12 separate signs. Think of it more as 6 planes of existence. Aries and Libra, they're actually 2 sides of the same coin, so you don't get one without the other. To kind of go off of what you were saying about how the nettles they restore the balance again within the body. And so opposite Aries brings the energy and the movement, and Libra brings the balance.
So for this video, we're not going to go into an entire materia medica, because that's just not where we're at with this, but I do have an entire blog post that goes into nettle, Mars, and Aries on my website, Chiron's Apothecary, that goes super deep into this, and I was rereading it the other day, and it's actually quite good.
Yeah, so go check that out. Yeah, so that's just a little bit on, nettles and their connection with the sign of Aries. If you wanted to do that yourself, you wanted to go out and connect with the plant if they grow around you, maybe you can explain just about the harvesting process, how you can use them.
You'll often find nettles kind of like on the edge of the forest, out in trails, or on the edge of a field, kind of again like we were talking about where the shadow meets the light. As always, if you can grow your own, people might think you're crazy for starting a nettle patch in your backyard, but grow your own if you can. And try not to harvest like right on the side of a trail. If you can, go back. Be mindful of over-harvesting and different wildcrafting ethics. There's a lot of posts and lists and things like that online to tell you how to do that with respect. Basically, when harvesting nettles, unless you're a total badass, you're gonna want some gloves. I use gloves. and some type of pruning shears. I just use my like craft kitchen scissors that aren't fancy at all, but they do the job because the stalks are really fibrous, and so you don't want to rip them because you just don't. You want to have a clean cut. You're only going to want to take the tops so that the plant can continue to grow back and you can get more harvest out of it. And then there's a lot of things you can do with those nettle tops. You can make pestos, you can make teas. Fresh infusions are really nice. And an infusion, I like to do a quart jar filled as much as I can with nettle tops, pour boiling water over it, and cap it for at least 30 minutes, and that's going to be your infusion. You can store them in your fridge in a plastic bag, and they'll stay fresh, and then you could cook with them. You can dry them for teas, and you can make tinctures, all of which I try to do during this time of year to keep them around all year long.
So you can choose to use gloves, or my best friend Seja, founder of the School of Evolutionary Herbalism, Mamie actually took this program. We used to talk a lot about, the correlation between plants, planets, and astrology. And, with Aries being about awareness, he used to say, well, if you stay aware to the nettle plant when you're picking it, it won't sting you, but it always stings you when you're not paying attention. They'll kind of hit you if you're walking amongst them and you're not paying attention, your awareness isn't turned on or focused, they'll sting you. If you're aware of them, keep your awareness, they won't sting you. I haven't gone out and tried that a bunch of times to know if that's actually true, but I'm sure there's something to it.
It's true for the most part.
Yeah. So, when you're harvesting the nettle plant, think of the sign of Aries, and you can be a warrior and harvest them without gloves. Yeah, so we just wanted to share a little bit about plants, planets, astrology, and nature, and how they connect, bring it into your life, and maybe this will help you learn either astrology, or you can apply this to your herbal practice, or just
both
of them at the same time, because they do go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. So if you like this section and you want to see a little bit more deeper videos on this, comment down below, let us know if that's something you're interested in, and we can make some more videos. Well, thanks for coming and doing this little segment in the video.
So that's it for my part, and I will now leave you with Tyler's astrological wisdoms.
So now, as you can see, astrology is much more than just personality traits, and the signs themselves can be learned and understood through nature, through the plant kingdom, through the time of day, through the seasonal cycle, and then we can apply that to ourselves because we are just reflections of nature. We are made up of those same elements. We live in those same cycles that the plants do. We're made of fire, earth, air, and water. We live underneath the sun, the moon, and the stars. This is how medical astrology works. The different parts of the body are connected to the signs as well. So I hope that you learned something good in this video and found this video insightful or at least entertaining. Thank you for stopping by and spending some time with us here on this channel. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button down below, and if you didn't like it, there's a dislike button with the thumbs down. And consider subscribing to our channel and hit the notification bell down below. Be a part of this journey that we're on, and share this video with your friends, community, and definitely leave us a comment below, and we're going to be active on the comments, and we want to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from? What did you like about the video? What did you not like? What would you like to see? If you have an idea too for this series, I'd really like some help trying to find a name for it. So that's going to be it for this video. So thanks again for stopping by and tuning into our channel, and we really appreciate any help growing this channel as well. So again, be sure to leave us a comment down below, and we will see you in the next video.
I'm a little nervous.
Oh yeah.
There's that.
Yeah. Cut.
This is great.
Yeah.
This is super fun.
Gonna have a lot of bloopers.
Yeah. Doctorate of signatures.
Separate. They're just.
Oh, dude, you didn't put that on vibrate?
I did. I think that's it.
I think that's it.
Okay.
So this has been Plants and Planets with Tyler and Mamie.
See you next time.
Okay, bye. Hey! Okay. That was good. I'm excited to see our blooper reel.